10 Things Only Brits from the 1950s will remember. Across Britain's terraces and time-worn lanes, a generation still holds dear the soft echoes of a vanished world. The 1950s was an age of quiet resilience, when cups of tea solved most problems and community was stitched into everyday life. There were no smartphones, no Deliveroo, and no binge-watching, yet somehow everything felt a little more personal, a little more magical. In this nostalgic trip down memory lane, we revisit 10 Things Only Brits from the 1950s. We'll remember those sights, sounds, and simple joys that have long slipped into history, but never from the heart. Let's begin this poetic journey, counting down from 10 to 1. 10. Lyons Corner Houses, where tea met elegance. Before coffee chains popped up on every high street, there was the elegance of the Lyons Corner House. These iconic tea rooms were scattered across London and other big cities, offering working-class Brits a taste of affordable glamour. Waitresses, known as Nippies, wore black and white uniforms and served tea in fine china with slices of Victoria sponge and jam tarts perched beneath polished glass domes. Families dressed in their Sunday best, couples met for quiet chats, and some venues even had live orchestras playing softly in the background. For post-war Britain, Lyons was more than a cafe. It was a symbol of recovery, refinement, and a little treat amid life's grayer days. 9. Dad coming home from national service. For countless families, the return of a uniformed son, brother, or father was one of the most emotional memories of the 1950s. National service was compulsory for young British men until 1960, meaning many lads spent 2 years serving in the armed forces. Whether stationed in Cyprus, Kenya, or Germany, they came home with stories of other lands and boots that clicked on the pavement. Mothers wept, sisters beamed, and younger siblings stared in awe. The sight of Dad marching through the door with medals, a smart haircut, and tales of faraway places was unforgettable. In towns across Britain, this scene played out with pride. And for many children, it was the moment the 1950s became personal history. 8. The ice cream van. That rang a bell. If you grew up in the 1950s, you'll remember it clearly. A handbell ringing down the street. Not a jingle, but a real bell, clanged by hand from the side of an old ice cream van. Children dashed out barefoot or in sandals with socks, clutching pennies in sticky palms. Before the rise of mass-produced music box-style vans, this was how the ice cream man announced his arrival. The ice creams were simple: plain cones, blocks of vanilla sandwiched between wafers, or lollies that melted in seconds. No sprinkles, no flake, just pure joy wrapped in wax paper and the laughter of summer. 7. Clothes made from curtains and knitted by Nan. Make do and mend wasn't just a wartime slogan. It lingered well into the 50s. Mums and grandmas repurposed just about anything. Old curtains became dresses. Worn jumpers were unpicked, washed, and re-knitted into cardigans, scarves, or gloves. Wool socks were darned, not discarded. The click-clack of knitting needles was the soundtrack of many living rooms. If you had a Nan, chances are you wore something she'd made, sometimes proudly, sometimes under duress. Whether it was a too-itchy jumper or a hat 3 sizes too big, these homemade clothes carried love in every stitch. They were practical, personal, and utterly priceless. 6. School dinners, semolina, and lumpy custard. Ah, the unforgettable aroma of school dinner halls. In the 1950s, school lunches weren't gourmet, but they were hearty. Plates came piled with mince, cabbage, or boiled potatoes that stuck to your fork like glue. Gravy was slopped generously, and everything came in large metallic trays. And then came dessert. Semolina pudding. Smooth if you were lucky, lumpy if not. or sponge cake with custard so thick it stood still, jam roly-poly, spotted dick, and rice pudding with a blob of strawberry jam in the middle. You didn't get to choose, and you couldn't say no, but somehow you still remember it fondly. 5. The wireless and the family huddle. Long before telly dominated the living room, there was the wireless. Families gathered around it, sometimes in silence, often laughing together at the Goon Show, Itma, or Mrs. Dale's Diary. News came through in clipped, precise tones, and children were taught to hush while the broadcast was on. The wireless wasn't just for entertainment. It was a family ritual. Turning the dial, waiting for the static to clear, adjusting the antenna. That hum, that warm orange glow, the sense that this box brought the world to your living room. It's something no podcast or YouTube video will ever quite match. 4. Ration books and the joy of sweet coupons. Though the war had ended, rationing stubbornly clung to life in post-war Britain. In fact, sweet rationing didn't end until 1953, meaning that many children of the 1950s had to swap coupons for a mere ounce of dolly mixtures or a strip of licorice. The ration book was a passport to sugar, butter, bacon, and dreams. Shops had queues, and shopkeepers scribbled in ledgers. But the day rationing ended? Pure euphoria. Kids ran to corner shops, wide-eyed and sugar-starved. That first full bag of sweets, no coupons needed, tasted like victory. 3. The milkman's whistle and the clink of bottles. Every morning, long before the sun warmed the cobblestones, came the whistle. Short, sharp, and unmistakable. It was the milkman, trundling along in his electric float, leaving fresh bottles on the doorstep. Some had cream so thick it could be spooned off the top. Others came with silver foil tops that birds sometimes pecked through. The milkman knew everyone's name. He'd pass on messages, deliver eggs, and maybe sneak a sweet to a well-behaved child. For many, the milkman was more than a delivery. He was part of the rhythm of daily life. 2. Outside loos and the tin bath ritual. Modern plumbing was still a luxury for many families. The outside loo, cold, drafty, and cobweb-prone, was a reality well into the decade. Often located at the bottom of the garden, it required a torch and bravery after dark. Newspaper squares hung from a nail, and the flush, if there was one, had a handle like a ship's wheel. And then there was bath night. The tin bath came out from behind the coal shed, placed before the fire, and filled with water boiled in kettles. Kids went in order, eldest first, baby last. It was messy, it was effort, but it was family. 1. Queen Elizabeth II's coronation and the street party of the century. If there's one memory etched into the heart of every Brit from the 1950s, it's June 2nd, 1953. Queen Elizabeth II's coronation wasn't just a royal event. It was a nationwide celebration of rebirth. After years of war and rationing, the streets erupted in color. Flags waved. Trestle tables were laid with sandwiches, jelly, trifles, and homemade cakes. Children wore paper crowns. Adults danced in the streets. Radios broadcast the ceremony, and those lucky enough to have a black-and-white telly invited neighbors over for a communal viewing. For many, it was the first time they saw live television, and the first time they saw hope so clearly. It was more than a royal moment. It was Britain turning a page. These memories might now be sepia-toned, but they're stitched into the soul of Britain. From ice cream vans and outside loos to knitting needles and coronation cheers, these are 10 Things Only Brits from the 1950s. We'll remember. Timeless echoes of an era that shaped a nation and warmed a generation's heart. Thank you for watching this video. Please don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell.